What's going on, you guys? It's Cody. Welcome back to another video here on the channel, Living in Salt Lake City, where we talk about everything you need to know about what it's like to work, eat, sleep, live, and play here along the Wasatch Front. In today's video, we're going to be doing a comparison between Eagle Mountain and Saratoga Springs. This is a question that I get a lot. Hey, what are the differences about these two cities? What are the pros? What are the cons to each one? Which one do I need to consider? So if this is something that you've been wondering, this is going to be the video for you. These two cities sit right next to each other, and there are some good things about both of the cities, and there are some bad things about them as well. So we're going to be discussing that right now. We're going to jump right into it. As we do that, I really appreciate the early thumbs up here on the video. Helps me out massively with the YouTube algorithm to reach more people just like yourself who are considering making a move here to Salt Lake City. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. And as we jump into this, guys, make sure to get in touch with me if you're making that move here to Salt Lake City. I've got your back when making that move. Call me, text me, or email me anytime. I absolutely love it when you guys reach out, and I've had people from all across the world call me, text me, and email saying, hey Cody, what do I need to know about living there? What do I need to know about moving there? Can you help me? And the answer is always yes. I absolutely love hearing from you guys, and I can't wait to hear from you as well. So with all that being said, let's jump in. All right, so I've got the notes pulled up here on my computer, and we're going to run through them here together. I've got 3 pros and 3 cons for both of these cities. So let's talk about Saratoga Springs first. Number 1 on my pros list for Saratoga Springs is you get absolutely amazing views. When it comes to views here in Utah, Saratoga Springs is probably the best place to get all 3 views. The 3 views that I like to consider are mountain views, valley views, and water views. Here in Saratoga Springs, you can get views of all 3 in one place and still have a brand new home at a very reasonable price. Other places, you're going to be able to get awesome views. You might get amazing mountain views, you might get amazing city views, you might get a lake view if you're next to the reservoir or the lake, but getting all 3 in one is extremely hard to do, and Saratoga Springs is one of the only places here in Utah where you can get all 3. The second positive here on our list for Saratoga Springs is that you can get new homes for a very reasonable cost. New homes are being built in every price range, but you can get them as low as about probably $475, $500 for a nice big brand new home. So this is definitely something you should consider. If you're looking for a new home, you want the new style, but you want to be in that lower price range, Saratoga might be somewhere where you need to consider. The third positive here on our list is that you're very close to the tech corridor. The tech corridor here in Utah is centered between the cities of Draper all the way down to Provo. This whole area is considered the tech corridor, with the heart of it being in Lehi. To get from Saratoga Springs to Lehi, depending on where you're going, where you're coming from, that type of thing, it's going to take you anywhere from about 15 to 25 minutes. I'd say a good average is about 20 minutes to make that drive. So if you're going to be going back to the office and you work in that tech scene, it's hard to beat what you can get here in Saratoga Springs, being that close to it, but being able to get a good new home and having a shorter commute as well. All right, so now that you know some of the positives about living in Saratoga Springs, let's talk about some of the negatives that you need to know about if you're considering moving there. Well, you are probably going to get more bugs than in other areas here along the Wasatch Front. The thing about Saratoga Springs is that because you're so close to Utah Lake, you do have a higher chance of getting mosquitoes, especially in the late summer or early fall, August, September, October, that time frame. You do get mosquitoes out there, and they do get worse than you'll find in other areas. So that is something to consider. You will get some other small animals and stuff, just because it's a more desert area. It's more deserty, compared to the rest of the Wasatch Front. You do just get a higher amount of little bugs and rodents and stuff like that, right? You're gonna have fields, you're gonna have like a lot of vacant land out there, and this is where bugs and little rodents thrive, right? So you will just see a little bit more of those, as opposed to being like in the city, where there's not a lot of vacant land or fields or anything like that. So just one thing to consider, you're gonna find more bugs out there. The second negative on our list today is that if you are on the south end of Saratoga Springs, there's not a lot of infrastructure going in there just yet. As of the time of this recording in December of 2020, there isn't a lot of infrastructure there on the south end of the city. A lot of the infrastructure is being built kind of in the middle and the north end of Saratoga Springs. And so if you're living further out south, you're gonna have to drive a little bit to get into town, to get to your shops, your restaurants, your retail stuff, Costco, whatever, things like that. It's gonna be a little bit of a drive. It's not like it's a killer, it's gonna be like 5, maybe 10 minutes at most. So it's not like it's a massive problem, but just something to kind of consider is that as the city kind of moves south and as they continue building south, there's not a whole lot out there. You're gonna be mostly driving north to get into town to get to all of those amenities. The third negative about Saratoga Springs, and stick with me guys, you're gonna like what I have to say about Eagle Mountain. The third negative is that you only have one major road that goes through the whole entire area. Your major road here is gonna be Redwood Road, and this runs north and south through the entire area. Unfortunately, if there's a wreck or there's something going on Redwood Road, getting around town is gonna be very difficult. That is the one major road in this whole area of Saratoga Springs. There's not a lot of side roads because it's a much more narrow vertical type of city. There's not a lot of east and west roads that you can kind of shortcut or take the back road to get to where you're going. So just kind of keep that in mind. The traffic there, I do think, is going to get heavier over the coming years, especially as more and more people move into the area. I think honestly they're gonna have to figure something out to get more connecting roads in there so that if there is a wreck or there is bad weather or something happens on Redwood Road, not everybody's gonna be locked down. So just something to kind of consider there. All right, jumping into Eagle Mountain, let's talk about some of the pros that you can experience if you're living in Eagle Mountain. Well, there's actually two parts of Eagle Mountain. You've got Eagle Mountain, the ranches, which is a little bit closer into town. This is the part of the city that is much closer to Saratoga Springs and much closer to a lot of the amenities. However, you do have Eagle Mountain City Center, which is a little bit further out. This is like another 10-15 minutes west of Eagle Mountain, the ranches. So just something to kind of keep in mind there, that you've actually got two different parts to Eagle Mountain. If you go out to City Center, the first positive on our list is you're gonna be way out there. You're gonna be much further out, but you can get a ton of house for your money. You're gonna get something that's much cheaper. I'd say on average, you can spend about $50,000 to $75,000 less than you would in Saratoga Springs for the exact same house. So if you don't mind the drive, you don't mind driving that extra 15-20 minutes, I think you can get a lot more house out there, but just be aware that you're gonna have a longer commute. You're gonna have a longer commute to get into town, for your bigger stores like Costco, Home Depot, sit-down restaurants, stuff like that. There's just not a lot out there in City Center at the moment. So just keep that in mind, that you're gonna have a little bit longer commute. And if you don't mind that, that's a huge positive. And I actually kind of already hit on number two with my train of thought there. You're gonna get way more bang for your buck if you're living out in City Center. Even in Eagle Mountain, the ranches, it is a little bit cheaper than in Saratoga Springs. So that might be something to consider. If you're just looking for a nice home, you don't mind the commute, you are gonna get more bang for your buck in Eagle Mountain, the ranches, and even more so in City Center. The third positive on our list for Eagle Mountain is that you're gonna have super easy access to get outdoors for off-road vehicles or to go shoot guns, because you're so close to a lot of these desert areas where people like to take their motorcycles, take their guns, take their razors, Can-Ams, their off-road vehicles. You can get out of town very easily, and you can be riding within like 5 or 10 minutes, shooting guns within 5 or 10 minutes of a drive. So it's very nice to have that convenience. If that's something you're into, that might be a big plus for you. Now let's talk about some of the negatives that you're gonna find with Eagle Mountain. Eagle Mountain's not perfect. There are some drawbacks and there are some things you need to know about. So number one, like we've already kind of talked about, you're gonna be much further out of town. To get to the tech corridor, to get to your sit-down restaurants, to get to your big box stores, it's gonna be a little bit of a drive. Depending on where or where you're coming from or where you're going to, it is going to be like a 15 to 30 minute drive to get from like City Center into town to get to those things. So just keep that in mind. It is a drive, it is a commute, and that's one of the trade-offs. That is one of the negatives that you have for living out there. The second negative I want to mention about Eagle Mountain is that although yes, there are new homes being built, a lot of the area was built in the last 10 to 20 years, and so there are some areas that are getting older. There are some areas that are kind of starting to feel a little bit run down, at least in my own personal opinion. I'm not saying it's a crap hole. It's still a very nice area overall, but it just doesn't have that ultra new community feel like Saratoga Springs does. So just something to kind of consider, as time progresses and as some of these older homes start getting to that point where, hey, maybe they need a new roof, maybe they need new landscaping, maybe they need new fences, maybe they need new siding on the house. Those are going to be the things that kind of unfortunately start to just slowly kind of bring down the look of the neighborhood. If you're in one of those older neighborhoods, it's just something to consider. If you go to the new ones, yeah, you don't have an issue with it. You're not gonna have any problems with that. And there are new homes being built in both areas. The third negative I want to talk about, because it's such a contrast to what you get in Saratoga Springs, is that in Eagle Mountain, you don't get great views. Yeah, you can still get mountain views, but to be honest, you kind of get mountain views like almost no matter where you're at here along the Wasatch Front. If you're out driving around or you're outside, you can basically see a mountain. Just if you just do a 360-degree turn, you're going to see a mountain at least somewhere. So that's always something that you're going to get. But out in Eagle Mountain, you're not going to have the amazing views that you get in Saratoga Springs. You're not going to get the lake views, and you're probably not going to get the city views. There are some exceptions to that. Of course, there's some homes up on the hill that you can get great views still. So I'm not going to say that kind of encompasses everything with that, but if you just kind of compared everything 1 to 1, on average, you're going to get a much better chance to get amazing views in Saratoga, whereas in Eagle Mountain, it's not going to be quite as good. So with that being said, guys, that kind of wraps up our pros and cons to both areas. In my opinion, which one is better? If I had to choose one, for me personally, I would hands down go with Saratoga Springs. I think it's the better area. I think it has a lot more to offer. And I think that the negatives are pretty small compared to the positives that you get there. So for me, I think Saratoga Springs is better. For most of you, I'd say that probably 80 to 90% of you guys, Saratoga would be the better option if you were just choosing between these two cities. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up here on the video. Helps me out massively with the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about what it's like to eat, sleep, live, work, and play here along the Wasatch Front. And don't forget to reach out to me if you're thinking about making that move here to Salt Lake City. Make sure to get in touch with me. I absolutely love it when you guys reach out, and I can't wait to hear from you as well. My information's here on the screen. I hope to chat with you soon. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one.